Hello and welcome to the virtual art tour of the Chess is Art Gift of Chess show in Times Square, New York City. First of all, thank you so much to all of our artists all around the world who submitted pieces from the slum-like conditions in places like Kenya and Nigeria to more metropolitan areas all across Africa, places like India, even some people in prisons here in the United States, artists from London, from Italy. This is truly an international show. I am Carina Nebula. I'm the Global Director of Arts for the Gift of Chess. Special thank you to that organization. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be a leader within it. About a year ago, we put out a global call to artists, not really knowing what that meant or what it would entail, but we knew we wanted to bring art together in the name of truth. I say art is the aligned resonant truth, A-R-T, aligned resonant truth, that's art. And art has the power to heal our planet. Art heals. A-R-T, aligned resonant truth, heals. Harmonious elevation autonomously levitates systems. When we harmonize, like the music that lived in this space tonight, it lifts us up. And all on its own, nothing can hold us down, and it's true for every single system that exists on the planet. Tonight, that's been exemplified globally, and I want to walk you through this space to see what that looks like and feel the stories behind these art pieces. A year ago, we put out a Google form and a tweet and said, submit your art to us. We'll put it in Times Square. We'll have it up on display. We didn't really know what that would entail. But the first art submission I received was this piece by Perfect. And it's a charcoal piece. In that moment, I knew this meant something. This was worth something. And this is important. Tunde Onakoya is a global leader. Many of you watching this know who he is. He's a dear friend of mine, and he's how I met Russ here in Times Square. He's an international star and chess player and leader for so many people on the planet to show that it is possible to do great things from small places. And just like that, we've seen that example left here today. So many of these art pieces are just freaking incredible. I encourage you to take the time to read the book that we'll have linked in the description below of this video. And you can learn more about each of the art pieces. In the meantime, I'm going to walk you through the space that we curated today and tell you a little bit about the stories behind some of them. This piece is one of the examples of the art that we have from the prisons all across the country. Special thank you to Tony Ballard, our prison outreach director, who helped make it possible to have the artists all across the prisons in the United States have access to this call to artists. And they exemplified something beautiful in the work that they had through these creations. This is the Gift of Chess logo in one of the drawings. It's truly incredible. I want to highlight this piece as well. It's one of my favorites just in terms of technicality. It's so beautiful. It's named, the artist is Marvel Arts and Abdul is the artist's name. Gabriel is a digital artist. You might recognize this piece from having gone viral all over Twitter. It's incredible, and Gabriel has done an amazing job. There's a few renditions around the room of it. This is one of my pieces. Actually, when Tunde Onakoya spoke in Washington, D.C. for International Women's Day in the beginning of this year, right before we did the global walk the walk across Manhattan, which you behind the camera, Jamal, remember, to raise awareness for Mary, one of the chess players from Yola in the IDP camps. Right before we did the Guinness World Record and won it the second time, and before we went to the United Nations, I had actually created a sculpture with a collage of the pieces that we had submitted so far and had it presented to Tunde in Washington, D.C. So this art show has been curated over the course of a year, and there's so much that's come together with it. This is a beautiful photographer named Anya Levy, and she's out of London. I had the privilege of actually introducing her to one of my art collectors who is living in London, and I saw that the very next day they were able to do a podcast together. So being a part of a community brings real life opportunities for artists all over the world. Sunday is amazing. This graphic design piece has been one of the crowd favorites for so many artists all over Twitter, all over Instagram. So many people in the room were coming up and talking about this piece. Technically speaking, the colors are amazing. I love the story behind Naomi's art. I'm partial to it because it has something to do with me, but I didn't know that when I saw it, and I still fell in love with it. About a year ago, when we had just started promoting this call to artists, I had posted some of this drawing of my own on Twitter to get the word out. And one of our ambassadors with the Gift of Chess, Kosi, actually showed her in Kenya this piece of art that I had done, and she drew her own version of it. I distinctly remember seeing this drawing when he sent it to me and thought to myself, this is amazing compositionally. Like, how did she come up with this? And then I looked at it closer, and I looked at my own wall, and I looked at it closer, and I looked at my wall, and I realized she drew something that she had seen of mine. The art that we make matters. Being able to display it here is such a beautiful gift. Aziz Salami is a wonderful example of what it is to blend all the elements of art. He truly is masterful in his work: color, composition, value, shape, line. He's someone to look to as an amazing example of how to create, technically speaking. Piece has a beautiful montage as well. Some of these pieces are actually in respect to Tunde for his birthday, October 6th, and that's how the momentum started building in the beginning of this call to artists last year. This is an incredible story. Russ was telling me the details of it, that Tunde actually had gone with another person whose name is escaping me because I don't know them, to Kotwe, and that's when he met 4-year-old child prodigy chess player Elijah. Someone had drawn the picture of this and actually collected it. It is living in Uganda now today. This piece is freaking beautiful. I don't know how else to say it. It's charcoal and white pencil on toned paper and details. It's just beautifully done. If I had to choose one example to show what the message behind these arts are, this would definitely be one of my top picks. Showing what it is to be able to, and you can read more about this in the book, but grow from being a pawn to a queen. It's beautifully exemplified in a metaphor in this piece, and I love it. I think it's so beautiful. Let's see. These pieces are amazing. You've seen some of the artists already mentioned here. I'm going to take you this way to where on the walls you can see Blessing is one of our proud artists. So, funny story. I wasn't planning on having any physical pieces at the show. It's just too much organizing. And having people coming from all over the world, it just didn't seem possible, even though it is possible to do great things from small places. I didn't want to make a promise I couldn't deliver on. Chibu, one of Blessing's friends, had reached out to me saying that Blessing had figured out how to get her art to the United States. And she was going to be on a train that passed through New York City on a particular day and asked if I could meet her. And at that point, I said, of course. So from Boston to Washington, D.C. for 10 minutes in Penn Station, which is a train station here in New York, I met her in crossing, sweaty and cold and hot at the same time, and I carried the pieces in a tube on my back to the Gift of Chess, and when I unraveled them, I was in awe of what she had created. Blessing is a masterful creator, and I'm grateful to know her. Not just is she a masterful creator, she is a true leader. She has stepped up to make herself available to be of service. I think she's a great example of what it is to know and to be your name. She's been a blessing in my life and so many of ours. This piece is by Ahmed. He is a local New York artist who has actually had a great career already. He has recently, thanks to, in his own words, Russ, the founder of this organization, the Gift of Chess, had a lot of momentum building in his career with recognition from art galleries all over the world, as well as major publications such as the New York Times. He was so grateful to be in this space, and we were so happy to have him. Moving along, we have some beautiful pieces as well. George, the groundsman of the studio here at the Gift of Chess Center, is also an artist. He created a collection of pieces during the 2020 era of COVID and coronavirus. That's why everyone's wearing the mask in his pieces. He's an amazing artist. He's very humble about it, but he's really, really talented and has an amazing art history. This, and I'm not supposed to pick favorites, but this one I think is my favorite of all. These three artists live in an IDP camp as refugees. And when they received the global call to artists, they created their own chess sets out of clay and out of water. From a broken shoe, they crafted every individual piece and put it on a piece of cardboard. This is so pivotal to me and so profound. I can't even find the words to express how much seeing this for the first time means to me, and every single time I look at it, I'm reminded of why I wanted to do anything about art with this organization in the first place. Thank you so much. And thank you, Vivian, for making this possible as well. We couldn't have done that without you. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous portrait of Tunde Okoye. I think it's just so beautifully done. And I intentionally put it right next to Albert's drawing here. This piece is based off of a very powerful photo that had been created in the beginning of or maybe not the beginning, but throughout the Chess and Slums journey. I know for a fact that this is Tunde Okoye's phone background. He personally loves it. I love it as well. It's such a beautiful piece, and that young girl is such a powerful figure. I wrote this poem during the Guinness World Record, or the day afterward. Here's us studying the board and being silent. I'll read it to you as I walk through and tell you 2 more stories before we wrap this up. Infinite possibilities. Weepy-eyed and cheerful, 64 hours and the world stood still. In the heart of Times Square, on the break of dawn as Easter gleamed the city, a triumphant crew of certified madmen and women moves in slow motion, leaping through a lens of possibility. Hours prior, a little girl from a refugee camp blew bubbles in the crowd as passers-by cheered on the inevitable and yet highly anticipated win of 2 masters duking it out over the board. Pawn after rook after bishop, kings and queens with meaning. The adjunct sat silently, reviewing Jollof rice chicken scratch timestamps by witnesses who warded off conversations from the public, focused solely on the dancing pieces, bulleting, blitzing, blundering, and blurs. Buzzing around the cameras and the media, food runs and signage, live streams and music and storage and group chats, comments and likes. Alike nothing the world has ever seen before. Risen, like sun on the 3rd day, possibility, the meek shall inherit the earth. Naomi, the artist I said before, this is another piece that she did based off of a magazine cover, Vogue, which I think is so cheeky, and I love that. This is the Pinkett Creative Art Club, and this piece and that are pieces that children in one of our groups throughout Nigeria, through Vivian, I believe as well, a leader and teacher, her name is Lioness, as she goes by, has the Pinkett Creative Club, and she had artists participate in the show. I'm grateful that she did that. This is one of these beautiful examples of contrast and symbolism. Again, that story of a little girl becoming a woman upon becoming a queen, and all that's possible is present here. Samuel did a wonderful portrait as well of Tunde Okoye, and everyone for his birthday, I put a collage of the pieces that we had received for that because it was very momentous for everybody involved. We're coming to a close here. This is the day that we unraveled Blessing's drawings that I had mentioned before. And yeah, a couple of my drawings were up as well, and I made some pieces before I had ever become the Global Director of Arts, kind of built momentum. This is a piece that I saw out in St. Petersburg, Florida when I was visiting my mom, and the artist is actually from Italy. I reached out to him and he submitted the art piece as well. One more, I just think this piece is so much fun. It's digital art. I loved watching the process of these pieces come together. And beyond that, there's a photographer I want to show you before I say goodbye. Come with me. Damien is an American artist, and he's a photographer who has created some documentation of chess hands playing on the board. I think that this is a really beautiful use of value, of contrast, and taking a live action moment and making something beautiful from it. This is my personal favorite of my own drawings that I did. It's the king, and it's made of ink, all of my drawings were. And of course, I don't want to forget saying a big thank you to one of our volunteers, Ayomida. He has been integral in creating some of our posts throughout the actual creation of all of this. And I don't want him to get forgotten or left behind. He created this graphic design. I made sure we printed it because I wanted him to be featured as well. One more person I should mention that wasn't mentioned and has done so much for the organization is Kyle. He is the editor of The Gift of Chess, and he is a beautiful poet. His pieces are in the beginning of the book, and if you want to read more, you should. He also has his own book that's been put out. I'll close and leave you with this dedication. To every artist, remember, we earthlings have no context to your creation, so overshare, over-explain, and overgive, and do so repeatedly, consistently, and unwaveringly, like the earth itself depends on it, because it does. The call to artists that we've originally submitted went like this. Dear Dreamer, by submitting your art to this showcase, you are doing so much more than you may realize. You are taking a part in creating art history. You see, your art is the aligned resonant truth. Take heed and remember these words. Our gifts are not our own. Artists have a special responsibility in the world. We put tangibility to the unmanifest and unexpressed. Your sharing from a space of genuine service is and always will be a blessing to the many souls craving to be seen. Art becomes the only refuge for the downtrodden. Where there is art, there is hope.